And welcome to Legal Limelight. Today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Brielle Cotterman. She's my client and a dear friend and also my publicist. And we're going to be talking about all things intellectual property, protecting your brand, and promoting your brand. So we'll give it a couple of minutes. Hey Bez, it's good to see you. Hey guys. Just going to let people join. Let's ping Brielle. Really excited about this. We still are going to focus a little bit on Web3 and the metaverse, and basically how to protect your brand there, which is something that is absolutely important as people are starting to use VR and explore in the metaverse and use their digital representations as their personal brands. So just give it 1 second. Okay, there she is. Hey Brielle, I'm gonna get you up. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got to have them like all the time now. So,
No, this is awesome. And I don't know if that's you or me. It's a little bit of a lag. It's okay. I'm gonna turn off my Wi-Fi. And then we can get started. Okay. Hey Brielle. Okay, I see you perfectly now.
okay, perfect.
Okay, so hi everyone and welcome to Legal Limelight. Today, as I introed earlier, my dear friend and client and publicist Brielle Cotterman is the celebrity maker. She is one of the most impressive PR people that is in this industry right now, and she's killing it. She's gotten her clients a ton of PR on huge platforms such as Forbes, and she even got one of her clients a hookup to interview my idol, Gary Vee. So we have so much to talk about today, Brielle. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me, Francesca.
Okay, so Brielle, to kick things off, I would like to know, what are some of the top tips for businesses who are scaling right now but haven't done too much PR?
Yeah. Excuse me. So, I mean, I think there's typically two components, but you want to look at story. That's first and foremost. It's the that's the foundation of everything. So your brand story for your business, and then what does that personal brand look like? What are those stories? Because yes, everybody loves a great business, but we also love people and we love stories. So being sure that you are really clear on those story pieces, that's going to make a huge difference when it does come to pursuing publicity. It's the most important thing that you can do.
Okay, so with stories, what does that mean? What my background, my bio, what's the story?
Yeah, a little bit of all of those things. It's really a lot about your why. So making sure that you are conveying and communicating that. Why are you in business, Francesca? Why are you doing what you do? Why do you love IP? Why do you love working in the metaverse and helping people to grow and protect their brands? There are so many different people out there and so many different spaces that are so saturated that we really need to differentiate ourselves and set ourselves apart. And the best way to do that is through story, sharing your why, who you are, what you stand for, what makes you different.
And I know this through Incubator, through your program, but what are the stories that we all need to be having?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 stories that we specifically recommend that people tell, and that's your breakthrough story. So that's the story of your why. I call it the breakthrough story internally because it's typically based around a major transformation or a breakthrough, and it really helps you to break through the noise. Because we all know that the marketplace is getting noisier and noisier. So the breakthrough story, it's really important. It really helps people to know who you are as a person, and then also your business zone of genius. Because You can be the best at what you do, but if nobody knows about it, then it's not really going to do you much good. So what is that business zone of genius? What is the thing that you're the best at that nobody else can do the way you do? And then third is your passion story. And I always say that I want my clients to tell a passion story that's something different than their work. 99% of all entrepreneurs, you ask them about their passion, they're going to say it's exactly what they would be doing for their work. But I tell my clients, this is the best prompt. If you had all the time and all the money in the world, what would you spend your time doing other than your work?
Which is so interesting because I feel like as entrepreneurs, even professionals like attorneys, you're wearing a million different hats. So what advice do you have to someone like me who's growing and scaling but feels like I'm a one-man band at times? What's the best way to go about that?
So, I think that what we often miss is that marketing is super important. I mean, we all know that. It's social media marketing, there's digital marketing, they're all the ways that we are marketing ourselves and our business. This is what you have to remember about PR and publicity. When you are pursuing earned media, which is what we do at our agency, you are basically creating a marketing piece on steroids. So when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to scale, there is nothing that means more than third-party verification and credibility, especially when you're working with high net worth clients and you're looking to work with and press and get to know and get into the space with the people that you want to be serving. If you can share the fact that you were featured by Forbes or Women's Wear Daily or any of these incredible New York Magazine that we got for our client last week, Business Insider that we got yesterday, when you have those sorts of credibility markers, what you're really doing is you're creating a marketing piece on steroids. So you're creating a marketing piece that's going to, if it's done well, share who you are, what you stand for, share a bit of your story. And then two, it's going to also be third-party verified because Women's Wear Daily, Business Insider, New York Magazine, they could have chosen anyone to feature and they chose you. And so really thinking about publicity as a tool. And then one other reminder that I think is really, really important. A lot of times we think of PR as something, the same way that people think about IP. I don't really need to pursue that until I'm really big. My brand, my business, we don't need to pursue publicity. We don't need to protect our trademarks or any of those things until we're very big. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So when you think about PR, it's not just something that celebrates your success. It's a tool to actually creating that next level success.
So if someone is successful right now and says, I have a ton of clients, I can't, focus on my PR, what's your response to that?
I mean, for me, I always say, that's really when you're at the space where you're probably ready to hire a publicist or a marketing and PR firm. Excuse me. It's marketing. PR is not rocket science. It's really not. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes a lot of connections. And it takes a lot of committed follow-up. But if you have the time to be doing your PR full-time, then your business is probably not where you want it to be. So when you're headed there and you're really looking at, where do I want to go? What's that next step? What's that next level? Having somebody to support you in pursuing PR and making sure that you're prepared and then making sure you're utilizing it as a really phenomenal marketing tool, turning every PR opportunity into a funnel. That's what comes with having, our firm is full service from start to finish.
Amazing. And so when it comes to PR in the real world, that's one thing, but what about the metaverse and in virtual realities where now we have our avatars and people can meet in Paris without even having to leave their home? How are you helping clients kind of navigate that new space when it comes to
I think it's really interesting. Yeah, it's super interesting to me, Francesca, to see where this is all going to go, what it's going to do to the future of media. To me, I think we are going to one, you have to have a presence there. I think that at this stage of the game, that's the most important part. And recognizing that, you know, you might be able to give press conferences in the not too distant future, like with media decision makers from all over the world, and never have to physically leave your home. You can do it in the metaverse, and you can host really incredible things, and you can speak on stages there. And so it's really just being forward thinking and being open to all of this whole plethora of opportunities that are going to be coming into our realm in the not too distant future.
Yeah. And then from like a protection standpoint, it really is very similar to what you would do in real life, you know, protecting, making sure your name is protected as a trademark, whether or not it's your business name or even your personal name. Copyrights, you may have some content that if you're sharing it in those, on those speaking, on those stages and at speaking events in the metaverse, and it's not protected, you know, that's probably something you should think about protecting. And the third is making sure, at least if you are using the metaverse, make sure you read the terms of service. And it's something we don't really typically look at because we just kind of assume that, oh, they're big platforms, they're not really gonna take our image and we're not going to be on a billboard somewhere. But if you don't know, especially with what's going on in the metaverse right now, like there's all these other players entering, if you don't know what the terms are and how they can use your image and your avatar and what you're uploading and saying, it's a red flag. So just beware of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, Francesca, you have done such a great job with and for me and for all of my clients. So when it comes to our IP, when it comes to protecting, you know, like for instance, my name is unique, and you were able to protect that for me. And that to me is one of my most valuable assets, because now as we grow and expand and are offering more and more programs and services and in more and more locations and in real life and the metaverse, we know that that's protected. And I know that my name will belong to me. And that is something that's been super important for me. So thank you.
Of course, I can't wait to get that registration. I'm going to definitely make a video all about that.
Yes, perfect. I love it. I love it. And then is there anything, you know, I love to talk about how you and I help people to not only protect, but also promote their business. And so that is one of the most important parts. It's just like you said, whether you're speaking in the metaverse or online or in person. Now we've got a lot of that going on. We're booking a lot of in-person speaking engagements for our clients. You have really got to be 100% certain that you are protected. And it's one of the most important parts, whether you're writing a book or you're giving a talk, or you know, you have slides and proprietary content and information, or you're launching a program. And if you haven't taken the time to protect it, promoting it is really just making you more vulnerable. So, you know, that, and you know, personally from having worked with me and my organization, that's something that I really am a huge proponent of, because it is, I've just seen it go bad too many times. And so if you are out there and you're listening and you're a person who is scaling, you are thinking, hey, I want to have a book, or you have a podcast, or any of those things, you're creating content in any way that is being pushed out into the world, which I'm all for that. I think that's perfect. That's the right way to do it. But you've got to be sure that you're protected. It is that I've seen so many nightmares with books and second editions and just all of these things that people lose control over them. And so really making sure that before you pursue publicity, you have all of your ducks in a row is super important.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes it's so easy for us to, and for me, obviously, to say that, you know, everyone needs IP and everyone has to protect, everyone has IP and everyone needs to protect their IP. But I think there's a couple of reasons why people don't, and they're pitfalls. So one is that people don't know. A lot of people actually don't know, and sophisticated businessmen and women I've met that come to me and say, I've never protected my IP. I didn't even know that I could protect my course with a copyright. Or protect my name as a trademark. So I think it's the lack of knowledge, which is why we're doing these and why I have my whole platform to educate people. And then the second is that maybe they haven't been burned. So maybe they know they have that knowledge component, but they haven't gone through an experience or haven't haven't heard of a friend who's gone through an experience where they end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, because they really didn't take the time to do simple trademark and copyright filings or have basic contracts in place at the beginning. And then the third I'm seeing is, so people know and they've been burned, but then they think, like you said, Brielle, this is it. Like I'm not ready for it yet. I got to
Yeah.
make money and I got to get everything out there. And then when I hit certain revenue milestones, then I will. But the problem with that is, of course, you want your stuff to do well. So the bigger you get, the more exposure you get, and the more exposed you are.
You become.
Exposure
Yeah.
equals exposed. And so having, I just want people to be realistic that this is your business. These are investments. I have clients that say, like, it's like doing my taxes. Like, I just don't want to do the legal work, but really, like, I want to get everyone to stop thinking that way, and that mindset. Think that these are assets. Your trademarks, your copyrights are assets, and they have a value and an amount to them. They're their brands, your content, your proprietary creative works that literally you could lose actually under the law if you don't do certain things to protect it. So hopefully if you if I went through those three things and you're like, oh wow, gosh, I'm there. If you want to have a call, I'm always happy to chat and see if IP protection is something that you need in your business right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, Francesca. We're all constantly trying to grow our audiences. I mean, that's really what we're doing with PR. We're putting people on the world stage. We're helping them to get on television and on, featured in major publications, big podcasts, everywhere. And so as you're growing your audience, if you are not protected, then like you said, the more exposure you get, the more exposed you become. So as you're bringing more and more people into your world, which is phenomenal, that's what we want. That's how we grow our impact. That's how we grow our businesses. You have to be certain that you and your business and your content is protected. I mean, that's just a major part of it. That if you skip that step, I've just seen it go wrong too many times.
And you know what, like, why, right? So why should you protect it? And when I'm saying protect, I really mean filing. So filing your trademarks, filing your copyrights, having contracts too, having actual documents and filings to protect. The reason is simply trademarks. Literally, for some of the platforms, you have to have your brand protected, registered, or else they may not be able to enforce. So if someone's knocking off your content, your name on Instagram, and you want to get them to stop, they're going to ask for the registration number. So that's just one. Without a registration, other people literally can be using your name in other states that you're not in. Like, it's crazy, but without it, your rights are only limited to where you actually do business. So theoretically, other people may be able to use in other states. But when you register, you get a presumption of rights in all 50 states. With copyrights, like with your creative works, if you don't have a registration, you can't sue. So like trying to get someone to stop without a registration is like waving an empty gun. You have empty threats. And then Brielle, you know full well the importance of having contracts, because I know you take this seriously. If people do agreements or enter into deals, partnerships, collabs without a written contract, there's still a contract, but what the heck did you agree to, and what were the terms? That becomes something people will fight over and litigate about if something goes wrong. And believe me, things go wrong all of the time. So hopefully, I only talked for 2 minutes on that, but now I hope I answered everyone's why. Why are you doing these things? It's to save money, to not get into expensive legal battles, which can be
for sure. Yeah, and I think too, Francesca, like you mentioned, contracts. I was working with a client, and very well respected, very successful, but she was not using contracts when people were coming into her programs and workshops. And it was just a major red flag for me. And I felt like I was, really expressing to her my sincerest concerns for her safety, for her business, for her protection. And, that was not something that she was willing to do because she felt like she would be burdening people. And so
Yeah.
that was a relationship that, being a PR person, that I felt like it was appropriate for me to end that working relationship with her because, you can only do so much to help people to
Yeah.
do and be and show up in a way that is with integrity. And that is really super important to me and my organization. And so that is a piece that is vital. It cannot be skipped when you are working with people on an ongoing basis in any container, in any format, to have some sort of contract to protect yourself and to allow them to protect themselves so that down the road you do not deal with repercussions of anything that might come into question.
Yes, and that does frequently. But okay, so Brielle, for anyone watching who's a consultant or coach, like Brielle, or an entrepreneur looking for a coach or consultant, her clients have come to me and been like, no joke, swear, have come to me and said, I hired Brielle because she asked me before I even promote this, have you protected it? And it was something that no other coach even mentioned. And Brielle takes it so seriously because she understands the importance of it, that's the differentiator really between a holistic coach, someone who's really thinking comprehensively, who's got your back, and who's sophisticated and understands the business. Because having your legal stuff and all your ducks in a row is critical to successfully run a profitable organization, no matter what size you are. So hopefully everyone knows this and integrates this.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And, Francesca, I have I have 20 years of real world business experience. So there's very little barrier to entry into online entrepreneurship, which is awesome. I love entrepreneurship. I love that it's readily available. But it's, my experience having worked in C-suite level sales and marketing, having owned and operated my own business in the brick and mortar form, those sorts of things you learn and experience so much. And it's just really important for me to impress upon every single one of my PR clients, every single person who joins our celebrity incubator, the importance of sound business practices, because that is really a foundation that you can't afford to mess up on.
Why, Brielle? So why is that important? Why can't they afford it for people who don't know?
Well, I've just seen it go wrong too many times. I've seen people publish a book and put a book out into the world, self-publishing now, anybody can publish. That is something that someone else has previously published, and then they end up in trouble and they end up with a very expensive lawsuit on their hands. And then on top of that, Francesca, then they've lost all the time, effort, energy, emotional investment that goes into writing a book, marketing it, getting it prepared to go to publish, go to print, all of those things. And, that's all lost. People not signing and not working on contracts. Even when people have contracts, I've seen it get ugly. So you're much better to protect yourself ahead of time than to leave it to chance.
Yeah, no, and guys, like this, Brielle says it all the time. To promote the brands, you have to own the brand and protect the content. And so I really, I love and appreciate you being able to articulate this stuff too, because I'm the lawyer, so my job is kind of hard sometimes. I know what people need to do, but it's like anything in life, you can't force people to do things. So I can just share stories, share horror stories, and hope that businesses come to me to protect their things, which is 10 times cheaper than coming to me with a major problem that now they have to throw a ton of money and emotional expense into and may not even be getting the brand back. So, okay, with that, Brielle, I feel like we covered a lot of the protection. And if anyone has questions, you can just click on the link in my bio to schedule a call. I'm happy to chat with you. I do a free 15-minute call. But Brielle, so what if people watching this now are like, okay, I need to promote my brand. I'm ready. Or maybe they don't know they're ready, but they want to see if they're ready. How can they contact you? What's the best way?
Yeah, so here on social media and everywhere, it's Brielle Cotterman. And of course, Francesca made a lovely post that has my Instagram handle, so you can click on that. And we look at applications. We are super selective about who we work with. We want to work with people who want to make a difference in the world. We want to work with people who are going to put in the time and effort to show up fabulously, to have great interviews, and really to use their marketing, or, their PR and publicity opportunities as marketing tools. We do a lot of media training, helping people to be prepared. I know a lot of people might get nervous when they think about going onto the stage or making a television appearance. And so our biggest way to alleviate that is to help people to feel prepared. So our first step in that is looking at an application, and we really just review everything. We ask a lot of questions. We look at social media handles. We look at websites. We take a peek because here's the thing. If you are pursuing publicity, that's what's going to happen. If we pitch you, that's where those people are going to be looking, or if you're pitching yourself. So, we take a peek at all of those things. So we do review every single application that comes in. And then from there, if we feel like it's a really good fit for us, then we set up a call and we have a chat and we talk about what it looks like and what the experience is like. And you, Francesca, have, had the opportunity to attend our retreats and to be a part of our trainings and get those really incredible media opportunities. So that it is an experience that not only affects PR, but it affects all of your business.
Completely. And it's totally changed the way I think about my content, my image, anytime I make a video, everything, because everyone's online now, and it is your PR and how you present yourself. So you've made me very aware of a lot of things.
Well, good.
Yes. Okay, we're at the top of the half of the hour. Brielle, thank you so much for coming on here today. We have 2 minutes. Do you want to end with one tip of advice for someone who hasn't really taken the steps yet, but is thinking about it and debating whether or not they need PR?
If you're thinking of whether or not you need it, everybody needs PR at every phase of their business. The strategies are just different. Okay. So it's different if you're a startup versus if you are a company that is, multi 7 figures and you're scaling to 8. So keep that in mind. And second of all, I think the best tip that I could give people who are thinking about pursuing publicity is think about local and regional publicity first. So I say there's 3 levels. There's local and regional, then there's niche specific. So for you, that would be in the IP space. And then there's that thought leader, influencer, top tier level where we recognize the names. And while we work to create a really beautiful blend of all of those, it's going to be easier to get local media opportunities because what you're doing is interesting to those publications. And I think a lot of times we get caught up and think, oh, well, I'm not maybe doing anything that's newsworthy. And my mentor, when I first came into the PR space almost 15 years ago, said to me, if you wait for the news to happen, it will always pass you by. Publicity will always pass you by. You have to make yourself the news. So wow. Thinking about that, what is a great story of hope? What is a great message that you can share? What is something interesting that you've done or created that you can share with the world that's going to be inspiring to others? And always thinking of those inspiring stories and messages of hope. Those are getting picked up right now. We're having a huge amount of success with them, and pitch them. Reach out to people, make connections. Don't be afraid. It's fun.
Thank you for giving everyone that encouragement, because it is hard, but we're in the virtual world now. Everyone has to do this. So thank you again, Brielle, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I'll see you next Thursday on Legal Limelight. Have a good day.
Thank you, my friend.
Bye, Brielle.